Hello everyone, welcome back to Custodome Productions and to my monthly wrap-up and discussion on all the albums I've heard in the previous month, so that's August for this video. I didn't listen to too many albums in August. I think I only listened to 6. Yeah, I only listened to 6 albums, so this should be a fairly quick video, but I'm just going to sort of blitz through them, give my sort of overall impressions, and then get out of here. Okay, so the first album I listened to was Sabotage by Black Sabbath. This is sort of, I think, the last Ozzy Osbourne-led Black Sabbath album I hadn't heard yet, and a friend of mine who's really into Black Sabbath said that this is one of his favourites, and so I thought I'd check it out. I didn't love it as much as I like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and Paranoid, which is still my favourite Sabbath album, but this was really good. I think all of these albums are like classics. I mean, they're regarded as such, they're very highly rated. Just more great Black Sabbath material here. Killer performances from all of the band members. Obviously Ozzy Osbourne is such a distinct vocalist and such a distinct frontman, and I think going forward I'm probably going to check out more of his solo stuff that I just haven't had the chance to get around to yet. Yeah, I gave this an 8 out of 10. I think I gave every single album I'm talking about in this video an 8 out of 10, by the way, so which is very much like me. I think I even got a comment on my last video mentioning the fact it's just how I rate things. It's generally the albums I listen to are about an 8 out of 10. I don't check out things that I don't think I'll like too often. But you know, I listened to this like probably about a month ago now, so I can't remember any specific tracks on here. But I think that all of these are great, and I think that pretty soon I'm going to also go back and listen to all of these albums again. So yeah, definitely gets recommended for me if you're into Black Sabbath and you just, for whatever reason, haven't checked this out yet. Another album here that sort of continues on from the last video in that I listened to Cale's second record, Really. I don't think this was quite as strong as his first one from memory, but I think that all of these just have this real sort of warmth to them. They're just always super breezy, always super fun, just great playing and songwriting. And yeah, like they're always really short as well. Like this is just like great stuff if you just like have to do some work, or you have to like focus on something else, or you just don't want anything to just too distracting. And I mean that in the best way possible. It's not disparaging to say that these albums are a little bit laid back and mellow at all. They're just like, yeah, he's just a great player, really, really interesting, important musical figure. I think even if you don't, even if you check out one of his albums and it's not to your liking, you should definitely read into Cale, because he's a very pioneering artist who did a lot of really interesting stuff and sort of doesn't get a whole lot, or doesn't get quite as much recognition as perhaps he deserves. Very influential, very important. Yeah, this is a great record as well. But probably not my favourite of his I've heard so far. Just think that some of his other ones have more memorable tracks. Okay, once again, total switch up here in terms of genre, because this is a Keith Jarrett record from 1985. I don't know what it was about this one specifically that I picked. I've heard his record that has "Long as I Know You're Living Yours," which is the piece Steely Dan copied on Gaucho, and I've heard the Colne concert, both of which are excellent. I love the Colne concert especially. So I got that record on CD recently, so I was sort of in the mood to check out sort of a bit more Keith Jarrett stuff, and I think I just came to this record because it seemed, I don't know, to have somewhat of a reputation. It seemed like one of his more popular records. Let me check this out. Yeah, honestly, I have absolutely no idea why I picked this record specifically, because it's not even one of his most rated records. But no, I really liked it. I mean, ECM style jazz. I just love ECM music. Really sort of, talk about relaxing. It's next level relaxing. It's such a unique sound. Even though there's a lot of ECM artists that like have actually quite different sort of things going on, they always have this similar sort of sound, and it's interesting. It's hard to articulate that. Like you listen to this record and you listen to a Keith Jarrett record and you listen to a Pat Metheny record, and even though they're doing very different things, they have this they do have a sort of similar sound to them. And I love that sound. I love ECM. I even non-jazz stuff like Steve Reich, which I talked about a few videos ago in this series. It's all great. Keith Jarrett is an immensely talented, immensely interesting musician. We got some other players on here whose names I don't recognize, but that's probably just me being ignorant. And yeah, no, I I don't know why specifically I chose to listen to this record, and there are probably other Keith Jarrett records that you should check out before listening to this one, but I really liked this album. I actually completely skipped over this one when looking at the page, but this is the actual first album I listened to in August, and this was sent in through Rate Your Music by someone who follows me on Rate Your Music, and presumably watches these videos, and yeah, this was great. This is a salsa album. These artists, I have never heard of this album before, but these artists are from Cuba and like the Dominican Republic, so like Caribbean. Really, really interesting music, sort of music that I don't really listen to that often, but definitely should listen to more of, because yeah, this is great. This style of music, I mean, like, yeah, Cuban music. I've listened to Buena Vista Social Club, but that's about it as far as that goes. But I really love this style of music. It's got such a warmth to it, such a lively, real energy to it. It's just really, really great stuff. It's uplifting, it's warm, it's fun, it's full of life. There's really not too much I can say other than that. It's music that really sort of captures a mood of happiness and a mood of joy, and it's very difficult to listen to this sort of music and not feel that. I mean, I can't speak to if this is like a really good example of Cuban music or of Caribbean music, but I personally really like this album, so I would definitely give this a recommendation. And thank you for sending it in. Casiopea, probably the most popular album that I've listened to, or maybe the Black Sabbath album has more ratings. But yeah, no, Casiopea have for a long time been a major sort of oversight, being that I love a lot of city pop, I love jazz fusion, just basically everything surrounding these guys, but never got around to listening to this album. This isn't actually the most popular or like the most recognizable version of this album art. It's the one with the car here, yeah. This is the one that most people would know. This band has a very, very big like following, a very big online following, and just for whatever reason I never got around to listening to them, but I finally checked them out, and they definitely like deserve the reputation they have. Yeah, it's just really, really well made jazz fusion with great playing. Definitely makes me want to check out more of their stuff. I know they have some other pretty popular albums. What are they called again? Yeah, I know. I assume that a lot of you would probably have already heard this album, or heard of Casiopea. But if like me, you'd somehow managed to not get around to this yet, highly recommend. And then finally, to continue the fact that none of these albums have anything in common whatsoever, I listened to Pulp's album Different Class, their most famous album as far as I'm aware. This was a recommendation from a friend of mine who said that Pulp are one of his favourite Britpop bands. I was familiar with Common People, obviously, that's a very, very famous track, but other than that, hadn't really heard much of their stuff, or any of their stuff in fact, but I knew this album, I knew this artwork, and they'd always sort of been in my periphery. I just have such a long listening list of stuff to get around to. But you know, even though they are definitively Britpop, they're drawing on lots of different influences that maybe some others aren't. Like I know Oasis obviously draw very heavily on the Beatles, and Blur have their own sort of thing going on. I don't think Pulp are really that much like Oasis or Blur. They've very much got their own sound, and it's a really interesting sound. It's a really unique sound. Definitely gets a recommendation from me, considering this whole Britpop revival thing that's going around with Oasis reuniting and touring again. So yeah, check this album out if you haven't already and you're into those bands. And yeah, that about wraps it for this month, or for last month I should say. Thank you to the people who have been sending me in recommendations. I've got 4 sitting in my inbox at the moment, but definitely keep them coming. I can never have too many recommendations. And let me know, yeah, what you've been listening to this month, what you think of some of these albums. And I guess I'll catch you in the next one. So, see ya. Bye.